When I was 13 years old, my parents had recently started allowing me to stay home alone during their weekend errands. This particular incident happened on a Saturday afternoon in early fall. We lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood with tree-lined streets and well-maintained houses. It was the kind of place where people left their garage doors open and kids rode bikes until dark without worry. Our house sat on a corner lot with a long driveway that curved around to the back. My bedroom window faced the street, and I could see anyone approaching from either direction. My parents had always been cautious about safety, but they trusted me enough at 13 to leave me alone for a few hours, while they attended my younger brother's soccer tournament about an hour away. That morning, my mom had placed a grocery order online for delivery. She said it would arrive sometime between noon and 3 o'clock, and she left me specific instructions about checking the items and putting the cold stuff away immediately. She also left a $20 bill on the kitchen counter for the tip. I spent the morning playing video games and watching television. Around 1:30, I heard a vehicle pull into our driveway. Through my bedroom window, I could see a white van with magnetic signs on the side panels. The driver was a middle-aged man wearing a baseball cap and a reflective safety vest. He looked professional enough, and I assumed this was our grocery delivery. I went downstairs and waited by the front door. When he knocked, I called out that I would be right there. I opened the door to find him holding 2 paper bags of groceries. He was probably in his 40s, with graying hair visible beneath his cap and a thin mustache. Something about his demeanor seemed off, though I could not pinpoint exactly what. He handed me the bags and said the total came to $87. I told him my mom had already paid online, which was true. He looked confused for a moment, then pulled out a phone and pretended to check something. After a few seconds, he said there must have been a processing error and that I needed to pay again. I felt uncomfortable but did not want to cause problems. I told him I only had $20 for the tip. He peered past me into the house and asked if my parents were home. I said they were upstairs taking a nap, which was a lie my mom had taught me to use in situations like this. The man nodded slowly and said he would call his supervisor to sort out the payment issue. He asked if he could use our bathroom while he waited for a callback. I told him I was not allowed to let anyone inside when my parents were sleeping. He accepted this explanation, but I noticed he was looking around our front yard and seemed to be taking note of details. He returned to his van and sat there for about 10 minutes, occasionally speaking on his phone. Finally, he came back to the door and said his supervisor had confirmed the payment went through. He apologized for the confusion and left. I watched him drive away, then brought the groceries inside and put everything away as my mom had instructed. Something nagged at me about the interaction, but I tried to dismiss it. The groceries were the correct items my mom had ordered. The delivery van looked legitimate. Maybe there really had been a payment processing error. Still, I made sure all the doors were locked and went back upstairs to my room. About 2 hours later, I heard a car door slam in our driveway. I looked out my window, but did not see any vehicle. Our driveway curves, so I assumed someone had parked closer to the back of the house. I figured it was my parents returning early from the tournament. A few minutes passed without anyone coming inside. I called out hello, but got no response. I went to the kitchen window that faced the backyard and saw a man standing near our back patio door. It was the same grocery delivery driver from earlier. He was no longer wearing the safety vest, and he was trying to peer through the sliding glass door into our family room. My heart started racing. I ducked below the windowsill and crawled to the hallway where I could not be seen from outside. I knew I needed to call my parents immediately. I ran upstairs to get the cordless phone from my parents' bedroom. I dialed my mom's cell phone number with shaking hands. She answered on the 3rd ring, and I could hear crowd noise in the background from the soccer fields. I whispered that the grocery delivery man had come back and was in our backyard looking through the windows. My mom's voice became very serious, and she told me to stay on the line while she called the police on my dad's phone. While I was on the phone with my mom, I heard the sound of something being tested or manipulated downstairs. It sounded like someone was trying different windows or doors. My mom told me to go to their bedroom closet and stay hidden until the police arrived. She said they were already driving home and would be there as soon as possible. I hid in the back of the walk-in closet behind my mom's hanging dresses. Through the phone, I could hear my mom talking to the police dispatcher and giving our address. She stayed on the line with me, speaking in a calm voice and telling me everything would be okay. After what felt like forever, I heard the sound of a glass breaking somewhere downstairs. I whispered this information to my mom, and I heard her relay it urgently to the police. She told me not to make any noise and to stay exactly where I was no matter what I heard. The house became very quiet for several minutes. Then, I heard footsteps on the hardwood floors downstairs. Someone was walking slowly through our house, and I could tell they were trying to be quiet. The footsteps moved from room to room on the first floor. I heard cabinet doors opening and closing in the kitchen. Eventually, the footsteps started coming up the stairs. Each step seemed to take forever. I pressed myself as far back into the closet as possible and tried to control my breathing. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs and began moving down the hallway toward my parents' bedroom. I heard the bedroom door creak open. My mom was still on the phone, whispering reassurances, but I was too terrified to respond. Footsteps entered the bedroom and walked around slowly. I could hear dresser drawers being opened. The person was searching for something, probably valuables or cash. The closet door suddenly opened. Light flooded in, and I held my breath. Through the hanging clothes, I could see the silhouette of a man standing in the doorway. He pushed some of the clothes aside and stepped into the closet. I squeezed my eyes shut and tried to make myself invisible. Then I heard shouting from downstairs, multiple voices calling out police commands. The man in the closet immediately turned and ran out of the bedroom. I heard him thundering down the stairs, then more shouting and what sounded like a struggle. My mom told me the police had arrived and caught the intruder, but to stay hidden until an officer came to get me personally. A few minutes later, I heard heavy footsteps coming up the stairs again, but this time a man's voice called out that he was Officer Martinez with the police department and that it was safe to come out. I emerged from the closet to find a uniformed police officer waiting in the bedroom. He escorted me downstairs, where I saw 2 more officers and the grocery delivery man sitting on our couch in handcuffs. The man would not look at me, but I could see it was definitely the same person from earlier. One of the officers explained that the man had broken in through a basement window. They found him with my mom's jewelry box and some cash from my dad's desk drawer. When they searched his van, they discovered he was not actually employed by the grocery store. He had been following their delivery trucks and intercepting orders, using the opportunity to case houses and identify when people might be home alone. My parents arrived about 20 minutes later, and my mom immediately hugged me while my dad spoke with the police officers. The man was arrested and charged with breaking and entering, burglary, and several other crimes. We learned later that he had targeted at least 3 other houses in nearby neighborhoods, using the same method. The real grocery delivery had been completed by the actual driver, who left our order on the front porch when no one answered the door. The imposter had simply taken the groceries and used them as a prop to gain information about our house and routine. For months afterward, my parents were reluctant to leave me home alone. They installed a security system and changed their policy about accepting deliveries when I was by myself. I became much more cautious about answering the door and learned to always verify the identity of service workers before providing any information. The experience taught me that predators often disguise themselves as legitimate workers to gain access to homes and information. It also showed me how quickly a normal Saturday afternoon could turn into a terrifying situation. I'm grateful that I trusted my instincts when something felt wrong and that I knew to call for help immediately when the man returned. The incident made me much more aware of personal safety and the importance of following the security procedures my parents had taught me. Even though it was frightening at the time, I think the experience ultimately made me more prepared to handle dangerous situations and trust my judgment when something does not feel right.